Hi, it's Kathy Vick. You can call me Deeply Awake. I really feel like I'm happy to be here because I haven't been in front of the camera publishing for a while, and I want to kind of discuss what's going on because tomorrow is a big day. I'm trying to decide, do I give you the info first or do I give you how I got there first? Usually I give you how I got there, so I'm going to mix it up and give you the intel first. And it's always a mixed bag. I mean, how I get the information is by living life and having thoughts and feelings. So I guess I want to tell you the punchline before I give you the setup, though. There's this book called The Revelation, and people have really weird thoughts about it, partly because the book is written by really weird people, and so there you go. And the book is basically to highlight many things, but the book is the last chapter in a larger volume, 2 volumes, to explain a change of consciousness. Ascension. What we're going through right now. It was just a helpful guide, a collection of metaphors and schedules and highly coded information that was taken literally and was used as justification for base thinking and behaviors. It was about ascension. And more specifically, the book was written to get us here, to help us get here. It did a pretty good job of that. And I understand that I was part of the group that came in and captured it, acted it out, foretold it, and kept talking about it. It was to get us here. It's only one, but it's so obvious that, And the 12, that's an important number for people who are on a certain ascension path. And Revelation 12:12, it talks about a woman giving birth. And that's what we're all going through now. So let me explain. The alignment is such, the trigger is such that, these are alignments that are very easy to pinpoint and then describe. And it was. And much like monoliths, celestial events and alignments are things that don't blow over from a strong wind and don't get buried underwater come a flood. All right, some of the monoliths can. maybe even the description of what's going to happen or what it means, those stars aligning. Maybe that's lost. It was written as a reminder only. It's just a symbol of what we know in our own DNA. This is what I know about that birth and about the coming times. There has been a period of chaos, and it will continue. It is so phenomenally intense, and this time, guys, it is personal. The contrasts of dark and light, good and evil, I want to say hate and love, and it's just so silly because all emotional experiences are embedded in love. So there is no opposite to love, but hatred appears to be an opposite. Fear appears to be an opposite. Rage seems to be its likely murderer. No. Love creates. Love holds space for those other emotional states. But the contrast that I've been talking about for a year and a half, that I've been talking about actively for 5 years, but have known to expect for over 20. Even those intensify and intensify and intensify and intensify, just like a fractal, just like a Fibonacci series as it goes inward, not outward. Tighter and tighter and tighter. And more compressed, more compressed. The whole experience of whatever it is, more compressed, more compressed. I didn't understand that's what was going to happen. And it felt like hand-to-hand mortal combat for my soul yesterday. I have a friend who has never talked to me about the ways in which she manages her reality when there is negativity in it. And it was this week, after knowing her for years, that she relayed an event that was so utterly otherworldly. Sent as a symbolic message prayer in motion. And just as she had to do, because she knew her faith was not going to get shaken again, even though this time it was up close and far too personal. I too have had a moment, actually way more than one, where I have really been at a place of when the pressure becomes so intense, when the vacillating becomes so intense, I realize today what I've been talking about, what I've seen in my life, what I read about, when I read other people's blogs, when I witness, as I watch other video bloggers explain their take on things. This has been a time when I have had to, feet firmly planted with a wide center of gravity, and all the strength and will that I have that I didn't think I did, summoning from my pelvis into my chest and then out my mouth through my throat, which is vibrating and loud. Get thee behind me, Satan. But I've done enough work to know that the creatures I think are so sick, so ill with darkness and malintent, who must bluster and blow and frighten me nearly to death just to get their point across. They're not creatures of the underworld, and they're not demons, and they're not minions of Satan. They are parts of me that I left behind. I didn't know. I didn't know. Something too big to understand, or an explanation that seems to make sense but overall just messes everything up. Simple misunderstandings that over time become something else. I saw that, I realized that this terror that I've always had of needing to make sure that the people who I love know I love them, and being so scared that I'm doing it wrong. Every mistake, every time that I messed up, every time that I let someone down, it just was another nail in the coffin proving that I don't love them anyway. I tell you this because it's very easy to believe the lie that if you were intact, if you were mature, if you were mentally whole and healthy, you wouldn't need to look back. You wouldn't need to question how it was for you as a child, how it was for your parents. That's immature, unnecessary, self-indulgent, narcissistic, and voluntarily opting in reveling in pain that cannot be resolved. So that's sort of what I have surmised is the stance of not only my family members, a lot of my peers, but the psychiatric community, and the culture in which I find myself. There's a shaming in looking back and claiming all of you. Maybe because it's oftentimes seen as a blame game. Aren't you older? Aren't you old enough to stop blaming your parents for your own bullshit? That kind of thinking. And although there's some truth in it, September 23rd comes down to birth. Birth. Do you know how chaotic, how aggressively creative the act of being born, of giving birth is? How intimate, how sexual, how affirming, how absolutely unable to be hidden, how inappropriate, how grotesque it is to hide the act or the issue due to shame. Yesterday I went through a bit of a birth myself. I had the birth pangs. I had the warnings. And I know the feeling. When something is squeezing so tight and it is not tenable. It is magic. It is a tremor. And it is to be ridden and really experienced, but not clung to. It's an experience. Isn't it fairly obvious that birth is not only a creative act, but a destructive one? What's destroyed? Singularity. Identity. The infant is no longer an idea within the Godhead, but encased in biology. And the woman may no longer do many things which may have fed her soul and helped explain herself to herself and to others. The carefree girl, the wanton woman, the happily married wife, all know of that moment. Everything is different now. I am more than I was. While strangely having gone through a diminishment. I am bigger than I was. Yet look, my body is shrunken. I am more vital and alive now. And in my stores are depleted, and I am weak. Welcome to Paradox, kid. Welcome to paradise, Mom. What I understand about this time. Yes, there's a birth, and everyone goes through birth their very own way. This is an individual event. But every mother knows whether it's offered or not. Every mother knows that those first few months with their precious newborn, that's a time to be protected. And it's a time to dismiss the world. It just doesn't fit. So I want to explain. I was given the profound gift of getting to experience this for months. But there's a certain moment of time that can sometimes stretch into infinity. But it may be just a few days, a few weeks, a few months. There's an infant. And when the infant opens its eyes and regards a mother's face, there's a special smile. There's a recognition, even before that face knows how to make a smile. Everything is said with the eyes, and everything is said. Where hours can pass in complete silence and complete peace and bliss. With two people, an infant and an adult, touching the other's face, making little sounds, playing little games. And the mother can look at the baby and realize, oh, that baby is so tiny. My physical body could crush it. I could kill this thing without even wanting to. And holding that infant, realizing in a flash that infant, you need that infant. Its giggle matters to you. Its comfort matters to you. Its freedom of distress becomes a priority to you. Not to prove that you love it, but because you love it. And those are delicious days, weeks, and months. The date of birth is communicated to the mom, the expectant mom, as her EDC, or it used to be. That stands for Estimated Date of Confinement. Yes, even in modern medicine, we use the term that refers to the little hut that the tribeswoman retires to with their infant, her infant, for a certain amount of time. And during that time, thank God the men stay away. That soup of mother and her infant that is a sacred time. And that confinement is also sacred. And it is now, I understand, quite voluntary. And I don't know, just biologically sort of imperative. And that's what we're going to go through. At least that's what I'm going to go through. So I understood that I was gearing up for something because at the same time that this is happening, there is an entropy going on with my physical body and you know, I'm with a lot of things. It's the entropy I've talked about. And I understand really that in daily life or in physical reality, perhaps entropy is best seen, as Terence McKenna saw, as habit, as the unrealized ego-driven self, as the zombie self who gets praise in social settings and car dealerships and boardrooms, but you know, is that self. And in those places, if you whipped out that mother and infant energy, well, it's just not appropriate. For me, I realized yesterday that's kind of the decision being made here. And by the evening time, I realized that had been the mistake, the confusion, the seed kernel of misunderstanding for a very long time. This idea that I could somehow prove, show, demonstrate to someone that I love them. And if I don't do things a certain way, if I don't say things and behave and prove it, then that's an emergency because they're not gonna know I love them. I realized that last night. That whether I'm a half an hour to the bowling alley to pick up my son, or right on time, even if I was late to the last thing that I dropped him off 2 hours before, it doesn't change that love. It doesn't change my bond. And really what I've been worried about this whole time is, well, is that bond there? How strong is it? I have angry and mean and nasty thoughts. That bond doesn't exist then. I have to prove to him. I have to prove to him. It really was a misunderstanding of anger and of hate. It's really, really, really fine. If you've been a mom and you have worked, let's say, a 12-hour shift on 2 hours of sleep, and you got another one to go, and you have a kid who is acting out, and your whole body and mind and soul hurts because you're having a fight with your husband or whatever. Is it normal to feel a little bit of hate, maybe even some resentment? Well, yes. Is it desirable? No. Is it accurate to the situation? To the situation, no. But to your experience, what's your experience? Is it okay to feel hatred for the one you love, to resent them, to be angry, to just really want to just lash out? Well, if you're feeling it, then yeah, it's okay. My concern was I didn't ever want to act any of that out. I wanted to make sure people always knew, and they never doubted, not for a minute, how much I loved them. And then when I began to realize that I just act in ways that make some people convinced I don't. And further, I realized with still others, I can actually act like Mother Teresa and never be self-serving in any way, and I can be loving every moment of every day and absolutely meticulous with every single thing I say and do, with utter and absolute control. That's just me locking down my hate, fearing it, and letting it become a volcano, or tricking myself into thinking that I'm that powerful. Oh my God, if I said what I really thought about this bitch. Well, hey, you're saying it, and you're doing a lot of things to cover it up. It was a real revelation, realizing this morning, after having written a list of, little things I see, I am and do these days that I really like and want to continue, and can't seem to not continue. Being direct is a really big value. I know it really, it came from a family where, you know what, it was really totally appropriate to really not like each other very much sometimes. And that was just not, that was the most threatening thing of all. That was the thing that was most dangerous, to actually contemplate or consider owning my anger. And so I didn't. It just floated out there as passive aggression and critical nature. And that's, part of what I did too, is that I was keyed to be kind of critical, or at least not critical, but I paid attention. I was keeping notes. I was comparing and contrasting. So I think what's happening is that I did see it in June, July. It was very uncomfortable. It felt like my hair was on. It felt like everybody's hair was on fire. There was so much fire, and it just everything was like hyper reactive and lots of emotion. It's like this is so exhausting. And then here I am at the end of this thing. I'm just like soul fatigued, to the point where I am literally out loud saying, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm tired. It hurts to be here. I'm done. I want to go home. That's what I've been saying lately. And that tells you it's been scary. I've been wondering if I'm talking myself into something. If I've walked myself into something. If this is the end and not the beginning. I've been scared. And I've had reason to be scared. At least I thought I had reason. And I think all of that was just I saw that, and then I saw that one day I just wanted a picture, and I felt that everybody's on fire. And then I went into December, and it was over. It was so hard to describe how different it was. And it felt so good and so true, so solid, unshakable, and just gives you shudders. It's so good. By the solstice in December of this year. How do we go from being on fire to that? I didn't have any roadmap. I thought I was going to die. I figured I've never felt that way alive for anything more than, I don't know, a few weeks of a really hot, beautiful, awesome affair. If you can extend that longer, awesome. But this was even better because there was no NRE around it. There was no new relation energy around it. It was just rock solid and beyond anything that I could have. It was perfect for me. And had I ordered it, it wouldn't have been that perfect. That's how it felt. And I'm here to tell you, I think I know how to get there now. It makes sense. This chaos, this moving from these bigger fractals, littler, 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 littler. We heard that was going to happen in 2012. We heard that there was going to be a resolution of patterns, and I heard that it was going to be in 2017, 2016, 2018, around there. And it just, I saw it happen with my own eyes. And I have been seeing it in just, personality areas, in historical areas, and I've been keeping track of what's going on with the collective, politically and economically and socially and culturally, and I like the idea of a fractal being, okay, compress 4,000 years of history into 4 years, and now do that in 4 months, and now do that in 4 days, and now do that in 4 hours, and now do that in 4 minutes, and now do it in 4 seconds. I've been talking about that. It's boom, 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 boom. And so I really want people to go easy on themselves if they're having these big experiences, because you are dealing with compressed realities. Compressed. And they don't need to be unpacked. That's not the idea. The time to unpack them and review them was long ago. Now is the time to feel them, feel them, feel them, feel them, feel them, feel them. Believe they're real, sure. If you're not believing they're real and you're not participating, you are not getting it. You think you're above it because you don't have strong feelings, and you're able to manage your budget. You're able to manage your social calendar. But look at that bitch. She can't even figure out, because she's so hung up on the spiritual stuff. That's going to look more and more grotesque. Whereas those people are the ones who've been normal, and the ones who've been dealing with their spirituality have been the ones who've been made to look grotesque. We'll see. We'll see which trees bear which fruit now, won't we? The proof is in the pudding, is it not? I told my dad last night, the whole point is for there to be these times when people are really freaking out. And then there are people just walking around going, la, 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 la. And I'm really in a bad place. I'm saying, I want to be one of those people, but oh my God, this is so hard. I don't like it here. I just want to go home. I'm so tired. Rest helps. Sleep helps. Naps help sometimes if you need them. A lot of things help me. I've talked about the things that have helped me and continue to. But sleep did the trick. I woke up today and I realized, this has to do with directness. Oh, this has to do with passive aggression. This has to do with really kind of a sleight of hand. Because the people who have to prove under all circumstances that everything's fair and I'm loved and I'm cared for. Yeah. And the ones who are kind of loosey-goosey and who just, are sort of are. Yeah. The thing is that what I realize is even the most indirect, passive aggressive, intentionally, involuntarily hostile person, they're just somebody who's all crippled up, and their love is a hate, and their hate is a love, and their yes is a no, and their no is a yes. They wouldn't be feeling so bad if they didn't feel so much love. They're conflicted about love and about its expression. And so is it a bad thing to go back and look at things in your childhood? Well, in my case, if you're around people who require and demand that the sand is always shifting and you never really know, because what is said, what is done, what is said, and what is felt are so vastly different that there's nothing but shifting sand and trying to ferret out intention and trying to find out if I'm safe or not. Is it safe to be vulnerable here and here and here? Well, I'd say that, if someone is intentionally, if they're confused and you feel like you encounter a great Saint Bernard. I was told the definition of passive aggression is a Saint Bernard that jumps onto your shoulders, and then pees all over you. That's passive aggression. What do you do with that? And passive aggression, I know what that feels like. I was a recipient. That was like my role. It was just what we did. It was just what we did. Don't own your anger. And it just, it eats away at the foundations. Am I loved? Well, sometimes not. Oh, holy God, that's really scary. I have to be loved all the time. Oh my God. Oh my God. What craziness. Want to know why? Well, I bring it up because, I really can't give you a better definition of passive aggression than a legislative body that passes a law that legalizes in place, in home, removal of required medical attention. It's a genocide bill. They're not even bothering to make camps. Why bother? It is such a murderous, cynical bill. And I mean, that is the level of aggression I see in that bill. But, I see aggression where other people see, oh, that's just business as usual. No, it's really not. No, it's really not. No. Requiring me to show you my personal belongings that I carry on my shoulder to satisfy your paranoia and to prove to you somehow that I'm not a murderer, that's nuts. I'm just going in to pay a bill, you moron. And it's this that I was just feeling like I can't take it. If I have to live here one more day with these people, with this consciousness, I don't think I can take it. I have to change because they're not gonna. And they're confused, and I can't be confused anymore. It hurts too much. That's where I was last night. 44:33. And I really don't know if something got birthed or what, but I feel different and I feel a lot better. And I think that this is a time to, for me, to really consider treating myself like that. As a mommy of an infant, And the infant is me. It's me. No wonder I feel so raw. A part of me is just this little baby. And all I really want to do is just fall in love with it, fall into it, fall into those eyes and have them just coat me with stardust. That's what I want. I want to explore. I want to do the things that make me really super happy. Why would I not do the things that bring me joy? Why would I focus on things that make me feel less than or inadequate? Look at me, I'm a mother. I didn't expect this, look at this. I'm busy, guys. That's kind of how I feel. And I really am okay with that happening through the fall and winter. I want it to. I want that to be my priority. It would be inappropriate not to have it be. It would be going down a destructive path for me. So I'll take the advice of the Bible. Sure, okay, there's been a birth. I keep seeing the solstice, and this is how I'm going to end. When I think of that beautiful, soft time, that's just, I don't know, I can't use the word soft in its entirety because it's so solid. It is indisputable. The goodness. It's just indisputable. I see 2 columns, and then I see a circular ball that's white and glows. That's what I see when I see the solstice of the winter. And I always hear the word manger, and it's the birth of a new consciousness. And as I was driving yesterday, I realized it's really not the birth of a new consciousness. It's the presentation. It's saying, here, see, I needed this really close to my heart, and I really took care of it really, really good, my baby. And now it's been 3 months, and now my baby is in a place where it's safe for my baby, and it's also safe for me, and I'm ready to present my baby to the public. And I know the public won't hurt it anymore, because before, if the public coughed on it, it could get something in it that would be good, not be good. So I made sure it was safe. But now I can present it. That's what I feel this time is. And if you're spelunking your layers, well, good. And if your layers have to do with passive aggression and is this love, is this not love? Am I loving? Am I not loving? How do I feel? How does that person feel? What's real? What's not real? That mother's love, I know that love. I know that's real. I've been able to create that with a man. And we just played in that. Those are enchanted waters. Enchanted waters to love someone like that. And have them have words and an ego, and it's phenomenally healing. And I'm forever grateful. I want to be able to do that with and for myself at all times. And I am, and I do. And I want that to become a really strong part of this, where I really literally am that I am, I have so much I could give you, so much that's gone on, so much that I've understood and learned. I just want you to know that obviously I find my path and my journey very beautiful. And I share it because I find it fascinating and beautiful, instructive, and archetypal. However, it doesn't mean I don't think yours isn't singular, because it is. Heart-pounding and colossal and beautiful and intense and meaningful and deeply ancient and akashic and symbolic and all yours, just as mine is all mine. I like to share because I know that in sharing this, it helps. And in so doing, I'm adding light, not throwing shade. I'm just discussing magic. That's all. Embodying it. And I am all that. The full-on shaman or mystic or saint or ascended one or whatever you want to call me. Whatever. It's not going to change the fact that I still need to get in a car and drive places. I still like to put food in my mouth, swallow, and become nourished. I still enjoy sex, and I still go to the bathroom. Okay? It's just different pathways of the DNA. So I can't seem to winnow this down, and every time I try to express myself, it blossoms into an hour, so I'm gonna let it be. I just can't seem to get it quieter, and maybe that's good because it's big times. But enjoy your birth. Enjoy your time of confinement, which is really just hardcore play. Play. That's what I connected with when I had my kid. Play. Ease. There's nothing to do here except relax. The job is to be authentic and at peace. That's the only thing this child needs. Funnily enough, it's the only thing I need. So that doesn't mean if I'm taking care of my baby that I can't take care of anyone else. But it means I have a project. I have an intention that's bigger than just paying bills and going from A to B. I'm on stilts. So, yeah, I'm not meeting a whole lot of people's eyeballs when you're on stilts. Well, there are a lot of people on stilts these days. Yay! Yay! And I'll be with all of you tomorrow. And as we walk through this, I asked, so is there like an event? So is there going to be a structured, synchronized event? Tell me about the 23rd. Basically, I'm just asking, am I going to get raptured? Are we all going to be raptured then? When's this rapture thing happening? And immediately the answer was, this is an individual walk. There isn't going to be any of that. Don't expect Facebook, pages of hey, come to my let's get raptured event. It's not going to be like that. But they said, isn't it going to be funny how one by one by one by one basic physics is again answered and light quotients go up, and yet it all happens at the same time. Isn't that funny? So, this is all metaphor. And look at the Bible, all right? It doesn't say uh, Jupiter will exit the constellation of yada yada and it'll be really pretty. No, it says that there's a woman in the skies with 12 stars who gives birth and is in great pain. Okay? So, maybe you add flowers and maybe you add, I don't know, a smoky must. I don't know. Everybody has their own flavor. This is mine. I'm so gratified and pleased and proud to have given it to you. And I do it with hope in my heart and with conviction in my chest. And with a sense of place. In my soul. To end, yesterday I had a meditation and I was, it was weird. I was in this area and I was surrounded by all of the heavy hitters, all my friends, all the people who've been around me and who've supported me and made things go, and all my loved ones, and we're all together, and I don't feel like, oh, I'm so unworthy anymore, or oh, you're so advanced. It's more like, hey dudes, I'm so glad I'm here. And they said, look, and they've been seeing, about the last week, eye imagery, one eye, but the eye itself is red and a little bit orange, and I know it's Antares. I've done sun gazing, I've done all kinds of stuff, and that's what comes up, this eye with a red center. So and we're all behind this thing that's like plastic, but it's like, the skin in of a porta potty, like that thin but durable, but it's very flexible. This stuff is, and it's right in front of me, and there's this eye right there, and I'm jamming, and they say, hey, are you ready to look? You want to look? We want you to. So what I did was I found myself putting my eye on the eye. And then as I did that, I could see. And then I felt it do this and just sort of mold onto me. And I understood. And I said, I realize how trusted I am. I'm the one. I realize how respected I am, that you would put me, that I'd be given that honor to do that, to look through the eye, to wear the suit, to engage my reality and humanity. Thank you for trusting me so much. Thank you for respecting me so much. Thank you for honoring me so much. But wow, to be fully aware of how much I'm trusted to do this. And that it's a real honor to be the one to ride point. So I wanted to give that. I think it's really pretty. And I think these are really big times. And I'm forever grateful to be in front of the camera for it. Oh my God. So I kind of feel like it may take some getting used to. And I might feel like a baby from time to time, but this is This is a very, very special time for many of us, and I'm wishing you well this day and in all days. Namaste.